All right, welcome back. Let's get to the calculations. This is the fun part in Spreadsheet. So, I mean, if there is a fun part. So what we're going to do is first calculate the minimum monthly payment that we're going to have to pay. This is figured in, like it builds all the, it makes the payment large enough so that you pay the loan off perfectly in 5 years, right down to the penny. Here's the formula we're trying to get to. So we need to recreate this formula in this minimum monthly payment cell. So the M is the monthly payment, that's what we're calculating. And then P is the principal amount, so the starting balance of the loan, in our case $15,000. I is the interest rate, but it's the monthly interest rate. So basically it's the APR divided by 12. And then we do 1 plus I, and then to the power of N. N is the number of payments, so basically 5 years times 12 for 60 payments. And then down at the bottom, there's this whole mess here as well. All right, let's get to it. This is going to be a little bit complicated, so stay with me. We're going to do an equal sign first to tell the spreadsheet that we're going to do some math. And then we're going to do open close parentheses, a slash for divided by, and an open close parentheses. What this does is it gives me something. I'm going to put all this stuff on top in the first parenthesis. This is divided by bar, and then this stuff on the bottom on the lower parenthesis. It's going to be a lot of parentheses. So I'm going to go inside that first set of parentheses now. So I'm on the top part, and we're going to put in the principal. So here I'm going to click on the principal, which is the loan amount right here. And then we're going to do times, and we need to multiply that by I. And remember, the I is the monthly interest rate. So that's just click on the APR and divide that by 12. So that's the I part. Then I've got a new open parenthesis right here. So I'm going to do an open parenthesis there. And I'm going to do 1 plus I again, which is APR divided by 12. So slash 12. And then I'm going to do a close parenthesis to close off that one. And then, yep, after that close parenthesis, I'm going to do a caret, and that means raised to the power of. So if you're going to square something, it's like this little caret 2. In this case, it's n, so I'm going to actually put an open parenthesis, and the n is going to be the number of years times 12 close parentheses. All right, so far so good. Now I'm going to skip to the bottom of the fraction. This one's a little bit easier to do. I'm going to start with an open parenthesis, and I'm going to do 1 plus, and here I is just the interest rate divided by 12, close parentheses, caret, just like before, and then n. So open parentheses, and n is the number of years times 5, or 12, sorry, close parentheses, and then a minus 1, and that should take care of it. Let's see what happens. Oop, we got an error. Let me figure out the error real quick. All right, I found the error. It was pretty quick to find, actually. This G4 divided by 12 needs to be multiplied by the next thing. Putting it next to a parenthesis means multiplying, but not in a spreadsheet. You have to be explicit. I need to put a multiply sign right there. And let's see if that solves it. Hey, and that's about right. $300 a month for a $15,000 5-year car loan. So I feel good about that calculation. All right, if you got that, yay. If not, go back and look at the formula. Let me click back on it. Go back and look at that formula and figure out every little detail needs to be there. All the parentheses need to be there. And if you need help, let me know. I'm obviously love to help people solve problems. All right. So the actual payment now, we'll do this one next. And we're just going to do an equal sign here. And all that is the minimum payment plus the extra payment you want to pay each month. Enter. So if our goal was to do $20 extra each month, our actual payment's $320.57 instead of $357. All right, total interest in this stuff, we have to deal with that in a few minutes. Let's go ahead and first of all, let's go and deal with the loan amount stuff. So the starting principal balance right here of the first month, November 2024, is going to be equal to the $15,000 we borrowed. Enter. And over here, the interest we're going to pay, okay, so it's going to be the 7.5% of this divided by 12. So I'm going to put an equal sign again. And I'm going to say, okay, we want to start with this number. We're going to multiply it by the 7.5%. That'll find our annual interest, and then divide that by 12 to find our monthly interest, and $93. That feels pretty reasonable for amount of interest. And now the principal payment is how much we're going to actually pay off on the loan each month. So over here, we're going to say, here's our loan payment. So in this one, we're going to say equals. Here's the total actual payment that we're sending in. So I'm choosing the actual payment, not the minimum monthly payment. I'm going to subtract from that $93.75 of interest, C2, and hit enter. So of that first payment of $320, $226 went towards paying the principal. That means next month, I'm not going to owe $15,000. I'm going to, down here, on the, so I'm in cell B3 now, I'm going to do equals the old amount I owed minus the principal payment. And I'm going to hit enter. Now I only owe $14,773.18. Yay, I paid off some of my loan. So if everything's right, I should be able to just copy and down this interest payment, and it should give me the right number. Oops, it definitely did not. So $6,000 of interest seems like a bit too much. In fact, our interest should be less than $93 this month. So let's go figure out what went wrong. So in this cell, it's taking B3, which is this one. It's multiplying it by G5 divided by 12. So let's go find G5. Oh, it jumped down a row. Notice how it's supposed to be this one divided by 12. It ended up being this one divided by 12. So we can go fix that. We have to remember up here, we don't actually want G4 to change. We want the 4 to stay a 4. So we're going to shift and do a $ in front of the 4. That will freeze the 4 every time. Hit enter. And now when I come back up here and I pull down to copy down, it should be working. Yes, it's working great. All right, over here, I'm going to pull down this one and see if it works. And again, negative 92.33, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Let's take a look. Oh, it's the same thing. So I think my G11 needed to be G10. Yep, so I want G10, not G11. So I'm going to come back up here to the first one and then freeze that 10. Anytime I use something from this table over here, I'm going to need to freeze the number by putting a $ in front of it. It's weird that it's a $, but that's what they chose. Enter. And now I'm just going to drag this one down and see if it works. Yeah, that feels good. So as my interest goes down a little bit, my principal goes up a little bit. Everything looks to be working fine. I'm just going to drag it all the way to the bottom now. And this is where spreadsheets become really cool. Well, you know. And that just took me all the way down and figured out all my calculations, all my payments. We can see here that I'm paying it off right here is where we end up paying it off at. Awesome. Now, total interest paid. Now, there's something weird about our table at this point. And this fact that it goes into the negatives. Obviously, if I got to June 2029 and I owed $167.18, I wouldn't make a payment of $319, or I wouldn't make another monthly payment. I wouldn't pay more than this amount. So we need to fix that first. To do that, we're going to come back up here to cell D2, and we're going to need to change this into an if statement. So after the equal sign, I'm going to type in if and then parentheses. And what I'm looking for with my payment is, if I owe more than a payment, I'm going to make the payment. If I owe less than a full payment, I'm going to pay off whatever the principal's left. So that's the if statement I want to do. So I'm going to say if this, what I, Control Z, enter. I just made a mistake. You're going to make the same mistake, so it's good that we do this. So I'm going to go back up here. I just hit enter, and then if something got messed up, Control Z will fix it. Then I'm going to come back up here, and I'm going to click in front of here again and type in if, comma, or if parenthesis. Then I'm going to hit a comma real quick and then go back to the first one and say, now that I have a comma here, I can do stuff in this first one. Say, hey, if this is greater than So if the principal I owe is greater than my actual payment, then I want that to happen. I want you to do a normal calculation. Comma after that one. This is the first thing is the condition. What we're looking for. Is that bigger? And here I'm going to go ahead and put a $sign in front of the 10. I know I'm going to need it later. And then this last part is, if this is true, it does this first one. If this is false, it does the next one. I'm going to say we're going to put in this amount, so whatever the principal is if it's false. So if the principal is greater than my payment, this says make the payment. If not, then pay off whatever the principal has here. And then let's hit enter and see if this works. And we're going to drag this formula all the way down. Awesome. So at this point, you can see when I hit the end of my loan, instead of making that same monthly payment, I'm only paying off the interest portion of that. So now I get down to 0 in that month. To see if this is working well, I'm going to actually change this extra payment down to 0 and see if I actually do pay it off in 5 years. So if I come down here, yep, so October 2029 is my last payment, and I'm paid off in November of 2029. So that's a 5-year loan. Awesome. So everything's working great so far. Now we need to calculate the total interest. For this, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to hit equals and then sum, and then we're just going to click on all of the table, all of the interest payments here, even the zeros. And then here and hit enter. So that was a total interest of $3,000. True cost is going to be equal the interest plus the loan amount. The starting loan amount, hit enter, that's your true cost. Number of payments. The best way to do this one is to just count them up. So what we're going to do is use a function that says equals count if, and then the first thing you put in a count if is the range you're going to count. So we're going to count all the payments. So all the payments, all the way down, even the zeros. And then we're going to do a comma, and we're going to tell it what to count if, like what condition to use. In this case, we're going to use quotation marks greater than 0. I don't know why it requires quotation marks around the greater than 0, but what this is saying is go look at cell D2 to D97. If it's greater than 0, count it and keep track of how many are greater than 0. When I hit enter, it should count up the number of months, which is 60, which is a 5-year loan. Perfect. And now the payoff date is going to be that same e-date formula we did before. So we're going to go equals e-date parenthesis, and then we're going to say here's our starting date, and then comma, the number of months we want to count ahead is the number of payments. We want to count 60 months ahead in this case. Close parenthesis, enter. We get a payoff date of this. I'm going to do a quick format, number, custom date and time, and apply that. November 2029. Now if we come back up here and we hit 20 bucks extra a month, you can see it adjusts everything. We actually save, we get done 4 payments early, ending in July of 2029. Delete this real quick. And that's it, my friends. One last thing we're going to do, actually, let's do a quick format of our table to make it easier to read. I'm going to highlight the whole table and then come up here to format and alternating colors. You can choose from any color scheme you want and then hit done. Go back to the top, and there it is. I might even turn that white. Awesome. Maybe make this a little wider. Oops. And that's it. That's our calculator. It does all kinds of fun, awesome things when you change the loan amount, $24,000. You see now it's going to be calculating out new monthly payments and all that stuff. So you can use this to make a lot of decisions about how you're going to move through your life, and especially auto loans. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's feature into spreadsheets. Have a great one, and we'll see you later.